we on? Oh, how annoying. How annoying. How annoying. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about the blip out. That's so super annoying. That happens at least once a week. I've got to call my internet provider. That's such a nuisance. I had such a good stream going on, too. This is like the highest number of people I've had on the stream so far. So that's a bummer. I hate it when that happens. So I gotta contact my provider and just ask them, like, hey, what the heck's going on? Why is it that my stream is cutting out once a week? That's super sucky. Oh well. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Sometimes the internet sucks. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Except cry, except cry. Except cry, except cry. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for being here, bud. Thanks for popping back after I get kicked off. The billionaire owner of Walmart. I pay low wages. I can take advantage of that. We're going to be successful, but the basis is a very low wage, low benefit model of employment. Haha! Wage slavery. Super fun. Super fun. Russell Brand. Don't think I got 20 minutes for Russell Brand. Although Russell Brand has become like a really interesting figure. I see you doing that, Jeff. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, bud. I really do appreciate it. Have yourself a good night, bud. The claw is the law. OPP officer spots a driver with alcoholic drink in hand while traveling in the left lane on Highway 401 near Dixie Road. Mississauga OPP charged a 33-year-old male driver from Toronto with unsealed container of liquor. Okay. Okay. I was expecting a story. Sorry. Sometimes I read things and then I'm like, oh, this is nothing. Stronger, more common earthquakes likely in northern BC due to fracking, new study suggests. Oh, you mean if you fundamentally alter the landscape by blowing it up, it's going to lead to further disruption? What in the heck? What in the heckles? What in the heckles? Who could have absolutely expected that?
Going home.
Hey Alan, what are you doing when you get off work?
Going home.
What are you gonna do at your home?
I'll be having a beer.
How many?
Enough to make me happy.
Yeah. That's the true shame of American working class. Like, they're in such a despairing kind of place. Like, all you've got is drugs, right? Like, all you've got is alcohol. It's brutal. Oh, I should probably edit this to be part 2. No, it's my internet. My internet just crapped out on me. So it's been happening like pretty regularly. So I got to contact my provider and be like, hey, why is my internet crapping out on me ever so often? Like I need it to be stable, right? I had like 15 people in here, man. It was a party. Like, we were having a good time, and then we drop out, and of course everybody dumps out, and then I'm gone for just long enough so people are like, oh, well, the stream must have just been over. I'll go do something else, right? And that's annoying. I don't like it. So I'm gonna have a polite and lovely conversation with somebody at my provider. I'm honestly in awe of them. Toronto tech startup Open Screenplay pledges to continue work in Gaza after bombing destroyed its office. Oy vey. I can't imagine that. Just can't. Literally, like, your place gets blown up, and everybody around you is just like, well, guess we're gonna rebuild. Yeah, they're on to me, Ward. That's exact. And I'm glad to have you. I'm glad to have you, Ruth. That's it, Ward. They're on to me, right? I say too many of the keywords too much, and so they're like, this guy's saying too many keywords. Let's kick him off. Yeah, that's right. It's one of their strategies. No, I suspect it's just like a setting or some shitty connection or something, and it's just like something that needs to be looked into. So I'll contact my provider and ask them what the heck? What the heckles? What the heckles?
I think it's a pretty good plan. We should be able to pull it off.
Not enough people registered for first dose to reach public health target. Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. No, it's because I have more people on my page. Ooh, let's get really conspiratorial, right? Wait a minute. That guy says he's a communist. That guy says he's a commie. Communism! It's all the people liking it and sending it up. And it starts to go up and up on the algorithm. They're like, no, pull the plug, pull the plug, pull the plug. That's right. Can't have a communist live streamer. That'll lead to communism. Ireland. Ireland, yeah. Going to bat for the Palestinians. 2.9 million tax break for Ottawa Porsche dealership receives the green light. Porsches are so dumb. Porsches are so dumb. I hate them so much. The graveyard doesn't lie. The catastrophic failure of Texas's power grid in February killed hundreds more people than the state has acknowledged. A BuzzFeed news analysis shows. Yeah, dude, like when you actually investigate the Texas power grid, it literally is a conglomeration of private owners who like work in a council with one another, right? And they have no reason to keep this grid up to date, to keep it repaired, right? So often the conversation is like, oh, I own this strip of like power grid, right? And I take a look at that, and then the other guy is doing the same thing, but the connection between the two of them is constantly at debate as to who has to repair what, and so stuff just gets completely missed. It's a total nightmare. And like, it just shouldn't be that way at all. Like, it's so stupid. Like, the failure of that power grid was completely because of the privatization of the power grid. That if it was state-run and the whole state had, like, standardized it, it'd be much better. So Blue Lives Matter was just an attempt to detract from Black Lives Matter. So I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. What's next? Are you going to tell me that these folks don't actually believe all lives matter? Abbott will lose this time. A lot of Dems. Where's Abbott? Communism seems like it's becoming less taboo. Or maybe it's just your media feed. I'd probably call them little column A, little column B, honestly. I do think communism is becoming more less taboo in that you can actually be a communist in the conversation. You're not going to be invited to the panel shows, but my experience is that, like, I say I'm a communist, and generally it's the people who are dismissive are going to be dismissive, but now there's lots of people who are being like, tell me more. Like, what's your position here? And they just kind of want to know more. Like, I doubt they'll be swayed, but Abbott is the governor of Texas. Oh, yeah, okay. People have been saying that Texas has a good chance of swinging blue any election now. Did you hear about Chattanooga's internet in the U.S.? It's owned by the city and better than the competitors at a cheaper price and free upgrades. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen, right? That's exactly what would happen. Simply because you are removing the worthless parasites from the situation, right? Like, the reason why privatization fails is obvious on the face of it. You're taking a system that otherwise works, inserting even a single person, into the decision-making apparatus of how this thing is run, but that person doesn't actually do anything, right? Like Mike Harris sitting on the board of directors for these long-term care companies, he's not doing anything, right? The only decision he's going to make is how to make more money for himself. And so the simple act of having them there means that you have to have reduced quality or increased prices to pay for the worthless parasite that's doing nothing, right? And if you took out the worthless parasite and took the money that you were giving to them and instead used it in the system in order to lower prices and increase services, you would be able to do that and therefore have a better system, right? The grift that got ran through the 80s and 90s and into the early 2000s about privatization has become so childishly easy to debunk. Like, the only reason the millennials went along with it for as long as we did is because we were literally children. We literally were like, oh, I guess everybody's saying that, and so I guess the adults know what they're doing, and so let's go, right? The adults had no fucking idea what they were doing, right? And that's becoming, like, really, really obvious. And now we're the adults, and we can really look around and be like, oh, Jesus, like, these guys are literally believing a wizard's coming back at any moment, and that the economy, like, we're supposed to sell it to billionaires, and that'll somehow improve things. Like, holy shit. And Batman? How is Batman a superhero, right? Batman is like an absolute demon. He's a vigilante billionaire with a mental illness. Like, he's got a major psychosis. And the money he uses to drop bombs on poor people, he could use to help them instead, which was captured brilliantly in the movie Joker. Highly recommend. Yeah, communism was unbiasedly taught in high school until the late 70s. Yeah. Like, and it needs, that needs to return to that, right? That, like, we need to have, like, open, honest conversations about, like, what these systems actually are. And, like, Richard Wolff says it cleanly. He's like, Richard Wolff says he is a PhD scholar from, I believe, Harvard, right? So he was educated through Harvard, and at no point did they teach him Marx. At no point in his PhD studies of economics was he ever told to read or know anything about Marx, right? That means you're illiterate, right? Like, if you haven't read the major critic of the system that you are working in, it means you're illiterate. And so you have literal PhDs coming out of Harvard who are economic illiterates. And it shows. How many of you came back, I wonder? How many of you came back? 6. I'll take it. I'll take it. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope you guys are doing well. I want to see Biden in prison. Why does Trump think I would visit him in prison? That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. It's so funny to me because this site here, March Against Nazis, I really like them because they've got a lot of good anti-Nazi stuff. But they really do have a pro-democratic position. Like, I see a lot of pro-democratic stuff come through, and there's a real like it's not like a hate on or like a difficulty. They just really, really have a hard time acknowledging that, like, Joe Biden is basically as bad as Donald Trump. Yeah. The internet should be treated like a public utility. It's essential at this point in time. Canada is ranked one of the worst in internet and cell phone services. Yeah. It's we need to nationalize the communications network. Hey Theo, how you doing? I don't think I've seen you around here. Yeah, it froze. Yeah, I know. The internet went down. I got to call my provider. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in, bud. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. When your friend is kind of racist. Oh, yeah. Reports the U.S. border to Canada could reopen on June 22nd. Untrue. Yeah. We're not going to open that border until we're, like, absolutely sure. Like, we don't want to... People are so tired of this. People are so exhausted. And we're getting closer and closer to an election. And can you imagine if they, like, called an election and suddenly there was a huge spike in cases and they, like, had to deal with this on the lead up to an election? It'd be brutal. A deal to be silent. Public servant paid to keep quiet about discrimination on the job. Yeah, that's pretty common. Pretty common. So going. Revealed, Nestle's floating supermarket sent into the heart of the Amazon and packed with ultra-processed junk food is blamed for shocking obesity crisis hitting children as young as 7. Nestle is like these guys are psychopaths. Like, they're not sociopaths, they're psychopaths. Like the president of Nestle literally said that water shouldn't be a human right. Like, that's you're pretty psychotic if you're saying that kind of thing. Yeah, we don't need a redo with the American anti-maskers. No kidding. No kidding. And the anti-mask movement is getting bigger and, like, more organized, right? Like, and it's starting to be co-opted by far-right influence. It's just, I could do with things loosening up and that movement kind of dissipating, honestly. Every time I use a self-checkout, the person in front of me has never used self-checkout, touchscreens, or money before. Yeah, that's so funny. Glad you called in today's meeting at this company. We value your opinion and care about your well-being. What's on your mind? Well, I don't know if I can continue working so much unpaid overtime. It's taking a toll on me and my family. I completely understand. You're fired. Yep. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Oh. Yeah. I'm bothered by Loblaws making record profit while their workers suffer. It's only 3 minutes. Let's see.
Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. There's been a report that has come out recently, and it says the following. Grocery clerk and cashier jobs are trending towards lower pay and less stability because there's a lot of people going into this industry, being the grocery industry and service industry, making very low rates of pay relative to how much it costs to live in parts of Ontario, namely the larger cities such as Toronto, the areas around Toronto, Ottawa, Kitchener-Waterloo, probably even Kingston. I've been hearing from some friends there that it's getting kind of ridiculous. So this is where we stand, where the people who we proudly claimed and celebrated as heroes and as essential workers, and we gave them hero pay for, what, just a little bit of time, a few months, I think. And now, here they are, once again, seeing a downward trend in their pay as the cost of living in the cities that they are growing up in and that they are serving a crucial role in becomes increasingly unaffordable for them. But you want to know what the kicker is? Loblaws companies, and Loblaws is one of, if not the biggest grocery chain in Canada, they reported a $313 million first quarter profit, up from $240 million from last year. So this company has made $73 million more dollars than they did a year ago. And the people that work for them, that allow them to rake up that kind of profit, are seeing their net wages decline and their own cities and homes become increasingly unaffordable. It is high time that we tax the wealthy and the corporations that continue to exploit these people and just exploit the system in general. This is not the first time, for those unaware, that Loblaws has done some really terrible stuff. They fixed bread prices, and then when they tried to make it up to people, they even bungled that. Loblaws is a terrible company, and let's see, how do we impact those who care about money, oh, I know, boycott. It is time for us to boycott Loblaws and its subsidiaries, which, granted, easier said than done, because in a lot of rural communities, a Loblaw subsidiary is the only place to get food. So, while that requires a bit more work in terms of setting up a self-sustaining food sector within rural communities, those of us here in the city, we can definitely make them feel the pinch, because Lord knows there's all these other varieties of grocery chains that we can shop at instead and support even small independent grocers and farmers markets and anyone but Loblaws and the corrupt and detestable Weston family. This company should not be allowed to get away with highway robbery, near record profits during a pandemic, all while the workers that they employ and that they and the rest of us claimed were heroes continue to suffer. That should be unacceptable to anyone with a conscience and to anyone who had the audacity to call these people heroes and not actually follow through on treating them as such. The fact that I even have to make this video is definitely what's bothering me today.
Yeah, it's I mean, he's nailing it, right? I think the boycott solution is not a great solution, and he hit on why, right? Because if you have a boycott, sometimes it's the only place you can get food, right? It's this enormous private supermarket that exists, and it's the only place you can actually get food. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow. And in truth, boycotts don't actually work when you get into that large scale, because people need goods, right? You need food. So the thing is, they're only going to listen to people striking, right? That's all it's going to come down to. They're just going to listen to people striking and nothing else. Oh yeah, this news about this fellow here, I forget his name. He switched sides. He was on the Palestinian side, and then he switched over to being on the Israeli side. Probably because he got pressure. I forget what this guy's name is. Anybody remember? He was the Hulk in the Avengers. Anyway. Oh, long working hours lead to a rise in premature deaths. No kidding. Ah, how shocking. Abuse people and they die early. No kidding. Yeah. 6.8 billion, 188 billion. 2 billion, 117 billion. In 10 years, in 10 years that happened. US minimum wage, 725, 725. Tax the rich. Yeah. Well, that talks about what I think, that we should transfer the shares to the workers, right? Just transfer the shares to the workers. Don't let these capitalists even be involved. They just take them out of the situation. And very specifically, I don't mean have them buy the shares. I mean transfer the shares and tell these billionaires to get fucked. Oof. Tennessee anti-vaxxer arrested after deliberately plowing car through vaccination site. Geez Louise, man. That's, you're living in some kind of world, man, if you're willing to do that. Kenny's political survival depends on delivering best summer ever. It's absolutely true. I really do think that a lot of these politicians are just let people have a nice summer. Just a good summer. And there's lots of people who are just going to have that good summer whether or not the government gets in the way or not. Oof. I get paid $100,000 an hour to speak, and while that money doesn't come from my employees, the companies I charge definitely exploit their employees. Also, I steal all the points from my tweets because this whole thing is a marketing campaign. Also, I waterboarded my ex-wife. What? All right. People really like Dan Price. Dan Price is one of those guys that he was a CEO of a credit card company or a company involved in credit card insurance or something like this. And he took a big, massive pay cut as the CEO and increased everybody's wages. And now it's being used as like a Harvard study because everybody's doing so much better now that they're being paid well. It's like, yeah, dude, what did you think was going to happen? Like, it's not like we're asking for much, right? Like that's the thing that kills me the most. We're literally asking for the superfluous wealth that is doing absolutely nothing to be used to alleviate suffering. It just seems like normal to me at this point. Like, well, and not even at this point. It just seems like, well, why else would we have a society if not to improve the lives of everybody, right? Where I work, I calculated that if the shares went to the workers, we would have all a bonus, of around $25,000. And you would turn around and you would spend that in the economy instead of shipping it offshore, right? Ugh, excuse me. We're on like hour 33 here. Feel as if this pandemic comes back, this time people will lose it and the government will take total control of the population. Yeah, we'll see how it all goes, dude. It's a catastrophe already. Kamala Harris wants private corporations to fix Central America. Yeah, okay. That'll work. The way it's always worked. I don't know why that's happening. Oh, yeah, the news is kind of quiet. I think everybody's getting ready. Oh, Wall Street Journal News Express. Kamala Harris's big plan for Central America privatization. Yeah. That's what they've always done. I don't know why anybody thinks they're going to do anything else. Huh. The runaway costs, ill-defined risks, and mediocre returns of the CPP's investment strategy. Okay. Paywall, can't do nothing with a paywall. Paywall, 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 don't. Canada's languishing position on Israel and Palestine needs to catch up with the world. The problem is that we are super beholden to the United States, whether we like it or not, right? Like they're right there. We're hitching our wagon to their star no matter what we do, right? Like, what can we do? We're gonna build a wall. We're gonna build a wall, right? No, we've got to deal with them, and we're not gonna confront them. Like, that's not gonna happen. Don't feel bad for the hedges. 4,816 GameStop locations would have been closed. 53,000 employees jobless. They wouldn't bat an eye. Yeah. They wouldn't bat an eye. That's absolutely the truth, dude. Like, they make these decisions, they lay people off, and then they just go to brunch, right? I am genuinely running out of steam, guys. I might actually close this one down early today. I don't like to do that, but what with the frozen internet that completely tanked? Oh well, now we're at 8. Look at that. The second I start saying that, I guess everybody suddenly hears. Oh no, John, you can't leave. You can't leave. Here, we'll come. All right, I see how it is. You guys can't be without me. I understand. I understand. Upcoming legislation in Venezuela, special economic zones. Okay, so this is legislation going through the National Assembly. Initial drafts of law, special economic zones. Special economic is a geographic region that has a special laws oriented to a greater extent to a free market economy, as opposed to the typical laws of a country or nation. National laws can be suspended within a special economic zone. This is a concession for sure that Venezuela is doing, so that they can get this embargo lifted. Really. As they enjoy, however, these areas have not been exempt from criticism, as they enjoy lower tax rates or in some cases violate the fundamental rights of workers, as legislation is more relaxed than the rest of the country, right? Like, this is the unfortunate truth about how the world is structured at the moment, is that, like, you see it in China, where, like, the capitalists will be like, oh, well, China's doing so well because of capitalism. And it's like, no. Like, China just needs to, like, China wants to work with the capitalists, right? And the capitalists refuse to work with socialists and communists in non-capitalist ways. So if we want to actually work with capitalists, right? If we want to actually work with the capitalists, we have to at least allow some kind of special zone, right? Some kind of method to actually communicate with these capitalists. So it means that we have to have, because capitalists are rapacious, sociopathic, nightmare monsters, well, that means that if you don't want them to destroy your economy with the CIA, you have to have a little section of your economy dedicated to rapacious, sociopathic nightmares, right? So that the capitalists can actually communicate and talk. That's what this is, right? They are opening up a small segment of their economy to neoliberalism, because the sanctions are killing them, and they need to do something to try and convince the United States military and the United States government to lift these sanctions. And even in the UN report, they were saying that this kind of thing should happen. And so here's Venezuela holding up their end of the bargain. We'll see if the United States holds up its end of the bargain. Probably won't. Right? Probably won't. Forgiving CERB debt for ineligible Canadians who receive unclear information to cost government $240 million. Again, great. That's fine. How long is this? Oh, 3 minutes. Let's go.
Sports, doped. Mainstream media, doped. Video games.
No, this is dumb. This is dumb. Don't need to do that. Collapse of the U.S. military itself will occur after the American empire falls. I mean, I think I've read this article. I mean, it's far more likely that the U.S. military will just become privatized, and they'll just become like mercenary groups, basically. That's what I expect to see. Ooh, Tucker Carlson suggests
As
a
if
real
things
insurrection.
weren't a tinderbox already, Fox News propagandist Tucker Carlson is now suggesting a real insurrection on his program. Now, the term real insurrection is, of course, Tucker playing coy with the January 6th Trump riots. Tucker and others claim that January 6th was not really an insurrection. And when they say that, it's never totally clear if they mean it's not really an insurrection because it failed.
The clip itself.
Central America in a lot of cases.
What about a real insurrection over this? Take a look.
That the people coming north from Latin America, Central America in a lot of cases, are aware that there's a new administration in the United States and the policies are different?
Oh, most definitely. They're telegraphing it down there. When you see T-shirts with people say, Biden let me in, Biden let me in, they're all over. I mean, you know, it's telegraphed back down there. One of them comes over and they'll tell you. As soon as I get over and get through, I'm calling back home and I'm telling 10 more to come that I got in. Come on. We're sending a message that, hey, the border's open, come on in, do what you want. I mean, why aren't we enforcing the laws that are on the book, that are already on the book that says you can't cross that border illegally or whatever? But yet we're going to reward you with putting you in a nice hotel or give you a $1,400 Visa card, debit card that you can use while you're here in the States, till you get established or whatever. And how many times they replenish it?
What do you mean, give a $14 Visa debit card?
I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but I have told that they're giving you, these immigrant families, they're in these hotels, they're giving them a $1,400 Visa card that they can.
Why
go
don't
out
we
and
have
buy.
a real insurrection at some point? Like, why would we put up with this?
Well, in my opinion, you're closer than you've ever been in our country of getting to that. I think we're closer.
Well, I feel closer to that. I mean, this is absolutely, it's beyond insulting. It's oppressing the population.
So,
Beyond insulting to help people that you have created as refugees due to your militarism. Like, where do you think these refugees are coming from? Right? You create an economic disaster in Venezuela. You have a coup in Bolivia. Neoliberal disasters throughout Chile, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. Right? There's literally a fascist in Brazil. Like, where do you... and a CIA-sponsored fascist, no less. Like, where do you think these guys are coming from? Costa Rica, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, right? The ongoing constant wars and coups and disasters that you're creating throughout this region. Where do you think these refugees are coming from, man? So they like flee from the disasters that you've created, and finally end up here, and you put them in concentration camps. And oh yeah, so how dare the government? And like, so what? They give them a $1,400 Visa card. Like, they should give everybody a $1,400 Visa card. We should give everyone a basic income. We should give everyone a basic income. We should have an insurrection about it. Yeah, Tucker Carlson is a baby. He's a little boy that never grew up. Like, literally, he was remember when Jon Stewart made fun of him for wearing a bow tie, right? Like, he never grew up. He's just a little boy, right? And he just, like, the only reason he's on any media show whatsoever, like, the reason he's on Fox is because nobody wants to have him, because like, Jon Stewart spoiled him, basically, like, kind of ruined it for Tucker. And so Tucker, we actually have Tucker Carlson saying out loud in an interview that I'm gonna go work for Fox, and the interviewer, like, it was like a DJ radio host guy, so he was like, oh, they're gonna make you say some crazy stuff, and he was like, yeah, I know, they're gonna make me say some crazy stuff, but got some bills to pay. Right? So he has no, like, moral compunction. He's not Tucker Carlson doesn't have, like, a moral core. He's not genuinely outraged, right? The face that he makes, this face here, the concerned face, right? Where he's like, it's well practiced. Like, it's well practiced. Like, he's not a genuine commentator, right? Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope everything's happening for you. Hope the world is a wonderful, sunshiny place, all 7 of you. You beautiful rainbows. You beautiful people out there. It's Thursday today, right? Oh man, tomorrow, TGIF. We got a big plan going on. Yeah, capitalism is like Monopoly, right? That's the great irony of the game Monopoly, is that it was made as a... It was made as a critique of capitalism, and then the capitalists repackaged it and sold it. That was hilarious. Joe Manchin considering his legacy as Neville Chamberlain's ghost visits for the 3rd night in a row. I don't think I understand the reference, but Joe Manchin is like a total dirtbag, man. Like, he is basically committed to creating gridlock in the Democratic Party. Like, he consistently votes with the Republicans. He consistently is voting down. And because the margins are so thin in the Senate, it's like 50-50 in the Senate, right? So, like, literally it's a 1-vote margin. Like, if 1 vote swings either way, it depends whether or not legislation can pass or not. We'll see what happens in the midterms. Like, the midterms could actually swing things even further in the Democrats' direction. I think there's a lot of people who are who are definitely blaming the Republicans for the gridlock that still exists. And although there are people who are like, let's get rid of this Joe Manchin guy. This guy needs to go. Oh, an hour, 30 minutes? No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh no! Biden plans to retroactive hike in capital gains taxes, so it may already be too late for investors to avoid it. We'll see about that. I'd be very surprised if Biden did any kind of tax hike. And it, like, let's be really clear. They're going to say tax hike, and they're going to treat it like it's this enormous thing, and they're going to be like, what a socialist he is. And he's literally going to just, like, revert it back to Bush, right? Like, George Bush did massive tax cuts. Obama entrenched those tax cuts. And then Trump did another round of tax cuts. And Biden may return it back to George Bush levels. And that'll be crazy socialism. What a crazy socialist Joe Biden is for returning the tax rate to George W. Bush era. Like, American politics is so funny, man. It's so funny. Mega landlords are snapping up Zillow homes before the public can see them. Wall Street firms scouring the frenzied U.S. housing market are tapping a new source of properties that regular buyers can't reach. God, it's so fucked. Like, the whole system is so jacked. Like, literally just funneling houses into the corporate sector. An independent buyer can't even be involved in the market. Like, it's just getting grotesque. Sex workers charter challenge currently underway. Let's go. You know what, guys? It's 8:30. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Thanks for being here, guys. I really do appreciate it. Sorry about this one. I feel like I don't know if I did a good show, if it was good at all. What a catastrophe. We got booted out halfway through. We had such good numbers too. Everything was going so well. But I'm going to call it right now. You guys are doing really great out there. Thanks so much for popping in, everybody that popped in. Thanks so much for being here. All the like, share, subscribe stuff is normal. Patreon down below. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep doing all the things. And never forget, you are a divine being standing in divine energy. These billionaires will gaslight you. They'll spend billions of dollars to gaslight you and make you forget that. Don't let them. Good luck. We're going to need it. I'm going to bed.